Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope you can actually hear me now. I had just muted my mic just whilst we were waiting on a few more people joining. Thank you so much for joining. I know we changed the time we brought it forward. And so I appreciate everyone making themselves available to join. So yeah, this is our last online parent forum for year 10, which is quite scary if you ask me. So without any further ado, I shall continue and present. One of the things I do want to say is that Miss O'Malley is joining us also via Teams. And if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, I will try my best to answer, but equally, Miss O'Malley can um, answer your questions in the chat. So, um, once again, hello everyone. Okay, so here we are. Just so that I can go over the agenda with you. I wanted to explain the mock timetable, okay? Just so that I can give you like a full explanation and cover in the student expectations and questions. Um, Another point, I also want to talk to you about the end of year trip and also, as usual, the upcoming key dates and information. And I've put in a frequently asked question, but also if you do have any questions and answers, you can ask then or at least type it into the chat. So yeah, once again, thank you everyone. So I shall move swiftly on. The usual introductions that I like to do as well is just reminding everyone who your contacts are in school. Okay, so just to reiterate, head of the upper school is Miss O'Malley. Thank you, Miss O'Malley. You were on cue there. Miss O'Malley has just made herself available in the chat if you have any questions. At the moment, we've had Mr. Bailey helping us, because Miss Awajobi is on leave. And the usual, you've got myself here, Miss Diprose, and also our form tutors. Now, the good thing is there are no current changes to any of our form tutor lists. I'm very grateful that we still have Miss Bennett and Miss Garcia helping out with 10S, okay? So the other formalities I can go through just to make sure that you know what route of contact to do. So pastoral, form tutor, and then myself, subject teacher, and then head of subject. And inclusion, we've got the Deputy Senko, Miss Alconshali, who has been working so incredibly close with our year 10s, and she's such a valuable asset and team member to have because she's been really helping us out. Once again, I wanted to reiterate our exam board, and please, if you don't have to take this note down or anything, because I will make my presentation available to you. It's always what we do in school, and equally this live recording where you unfortunately have to look at my face. However, any information we will share. Okay, as ever from the previous slide, if you have any questions, you can just contact them. If you forget, I will always forward it on to the correct person. Okay, so what I wanted to share with you now was just having a look at how the mock timetable is laid out. Now, some of you may have seen this already because we had requested a copy to be emailed out to students, a copy to be made available to parents, and I've also we printed off a hard copy for the students to have, so as at least like overkill of information is never overkill in my mind. However, to explain what that looks like, obviously the timetable that you guys would have received, it covers year 10 and year 12 mocks, and how to differentiate between the two. Year 10s are the fields that are not highlighted or coloured, okay? The dates down the left-hand side. I'm looking at a hard copy here as well. And we have the exams listed as AM and PM. Now, you will see at the very, and on the next slide, bear with me, you will see right at the foot of that slide where there's called Clash exam timetable. Now, what that means is if your child or if your young adult has 2 exams at the same time, please don't worry. And I've been reassuring students as well not to worry, because when you've got that scheduled class exam time, they will still get to sit the other one. Okay. Other things to point out on the actual timetable. I think there was a few changes from the original one that was sent, but this is the finalized version. Where the actual times of the exams are not on there, but I cover that later on in the presentation. Presently, if you've got a child in or a young adult in year 11, you'll know what their times are of a morning and of the afternoon. But when speaking to students, and this is why I'll encourage you to speak to your young adults as well, get it from their perspective, just to make sure that they understand, because I think if they just assume that if they just think, oh, everybody knows what they're doing, I don't, I'm just encouraging them to speak and come and ask questions, and equally I'm trying to, where possible, have those kind of conversations as well. So I know it's quite a small print. I don't know if it's as large for you to see there, but it just gives you an overview of how the mock exams are timetabled. Okay, and lots of things have been put into consideration from heads of department, different levels, different subjects, equally when there's a Spanish or there's a practical. So all of that has been factored in. Okay. Moving on, right at the end is when the actual MFL, the modern foreign languages, will be doing like the speaking tests. Okay, so a lot of your young adults are not necessarily doing a language. However, we keep that in for everybody's information. Okay. So once again, moving swiftly on, I want to remind you, if you've joined late, please, if you have any questions, if you pop them into the chat, we've got Miss O'Malley on standby and just to try and help out. And if I can answer any questions verbally, if I see them popping up, I will do my best to do that. It has been a long day. However, I will do my best. Okay, moving on. So I wanted to just highlight to all you lovely parents and carers things that we expect as a school during exam times. Okay, so it's really important. Now, as I say, if you have a young adult who's gone through the exam process in our school, it's not different. I mean, there shouldn't be any differences as to when your young adults in year 10 are doing the mocks. So it's just about arriving in full school uniform. Now that is head to toe, so including school shoes as well. And we also have to make sure that students have got the full lanyard, okay? The last thing we want to do is actually not allow a student in if they're not in their full uniform. Now, one of the reasons for that, and I know and Miss O'Malley may be able to embellish on that, is purely because, you know, we are a big school. We have professional invigilators that are actually monitoring this exam. I know who the students are, they don't, and so it's that immediate identification. But equally, it gets them set up, that whole idea of deportment to get ready and to go in and sit the exam. Okay, so it's really important, this idea of turning up prepared and ready. Okay, morning exams, as I mentioned from the previous slide, with our morning exams, we will be starting off in the Bluebird canteen. If you've been in our school, you'll know exactly where I'm talking about. And students tend to come in between, when the gates open at 8:15, you start to see students come in and they can go straight there. Now, depending on the subject and also if there is any changes to the time, just even tweaking it slightly, we always make sure that students are made aware of that at the front gate if there are any changes. However, if they, upon arrival, they will go to the Bluebird, and that's where they'll do this, they'll register with a form tutor, and it's that preparation talk to get them ready in the mindset to go and do their exams. Okay. what we're going through with them is exactly how they will do that when they get to year 11. The current year 11s are very, very well versed and they know the pattern, you know, and it's amazing to see how everybody just fits into place. We know they're so incredibly nervous. I've seen a question about students who need laptops for the exam. What I can tell you is that where we have a student who has, we'd call that under the access arrangements bracket, they are taken to the relevant room where they will be sitting with the laptops. We know who the students are, so please do not worry. And if you can like reconfirm and reassure your young adult that do not worry about that, that will all be taken care of. Okay. Other things that I would like to just highlight is obviously no mobile phones to be in school. We know that there's no mobile phones to be in school anyway. However, throughout exam time, something that we really don't want is a student to be disqualified and removed from an exam if they have a mobile phone. So phones will be confiscated prior as well, but no mobile phones. They don't need it anyway as they're coming in to do their exam. I'm grateful that I do not have any massive concerns about year 10. However, I just want you guys as my lovely parents and carers to reiterate that at home as well. Other things, just to let you know, we've practiced this, okay? We've had year 10 going from the Bluebird in silence, going to the exam, getting themselves ready, and so they know what to expect. If they missed that, there's not going to be that many surprises. We'd still just make sure you can tell everybody just falls into place, but it's the idea of silence and getting themselves ready and in the mindset. Not too dissimilar to when I was doing exams. I mean, the only thing we were allowed to not wear uniform. Uniform is key for our students. Additional things, yeah, please do keep your questions coming because Miss O'Malley is on hand, so thank you about that. Equipment. Now, what we've told everyone is, and it's the same in light of what they need for their regular school day, it's a clear pencil case with the full school essentials. It's all on our website, and a scientific calculator because there's specific subjects where they require the scientific calculator. Other questions? Once again, students sitting exams in the smaller rooms, be it for if they need a laptop or if they need additional time and for any other reasons which means that they have to do it in a smaller room, it's all taken care of. And when they're there in the morning, they are collected and taken to the room, and the same for the afternoon because we have morning exams and afternoon exams. And also all of our students, all of my young adults have been given a unique exam number, okay? And that stays with them for when they are actually doing all of their mocks. It doesn't change per subject. For example, I would be Jenny Diprose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That stays with me, okay? So I have got access to that. If any student is worried, if they forget, reassure them they can come and check with me or check with their form tutors. Okay, I do know some form tutors have got it on display, so please encourage them just to, no question's a silly question, and when it says tens you might forget, and if you're feeling overwhelmed, we are here to make it as, I'd love to say as easy for them, but as smooth for them as possible, because we want them to do their best. Okay. Additional, I wanted to put in a parental expectation, parental and carer expectation. You know it, you have been with your kids and you're doing the revision, and you know you have been going through a lot of things with them as ever and really supporting them, which is amazing. It's lovely, it's great. So one of the things I just said, keep checking in with them. Okay, I know that I've had some parents contacting me saying how they're maybe a bit concerned because so and so is maybe either working too hard or potentially not working hard enough. I totally get it. Okay, so please just keep checking in with them. Nobody knows your your young people better than you guys, you know, and that's something I'm encouraging them to say as well. Um, and equally, you know, if you do need anything, please contact Form Tutor, the actual subject teacher, or even myself. Okay. And lastly, for a parental and carer thing, I'll just praise them, you know, praise them for their hard work and their efforts because I know all too well being in the school, being in lessons, observing and going round and speaking to the students that, you know, I need to let them know that they're doing something, that they're doing the right thing. But equally, and I think this is quite important, we need to tell them to actually maybe have breaks, be kind to themselves, you know, take a break, you know, go for a walk, have a quick catch up with your friends, you know, give them that kind of social interaction because I know some of them get really worried and they feel that they have to say spend 8 hours revising. However, they've devised their revision plan, we're here to help, but equally just keep an eye on them because we don't want anyone feeling too overwhelmed that it just gets a bit too much. They can over revise, and I agree with that parent. Thank you so kindly for posting that. Okay. So yeah, moving on as well. Obviously, if you have any questions about the exams, I've seen a few coming through. And thank you again, Miss O'Malley. She's been answering those queries as they come through. So the next point I was going to talk about is obviously our end of year trip. Now, as you all know, we're going to Southend, whereby engaging in the Adventure Island activity is something that it can be optional. Okay. And I don't know if any of you have been before. If you haven't received the letter, I think that what I would like to do is I'll make that available to you again because, as you know, over communication, there's nothing personally, there's nothing wrong with that. I think if we can keep telling you that, then so be it. So yeah, so Southend. Now, one of the things that I want to say to you is, and I'm saying this to your young people, is this is the last like end of year trip for them because when they're in year 11 that doesn't happen, and so it's quite a big thing. My next slide will explain like more, but once again, as I said, I will send the letter to you again. But it's a real I don't know, it's a big milestone for me because I can remember when they were all just about this size in year 7. And so it's massive. And if anything, I promise you, I love spending time with the year 10s. I know I'm like a stuck record, but I've got, like, you know, I'm very blessed as to how amazing your children are. So yeah, more details, Southend Adventure Island. So we are going on the Wednesday. I noticed that there was a query there about the meeting point. What I would like to tell you is that Miss O'Malley and myself, we are going to do a recce just to confirm where the meeting point will be, and we will definitively get that information out to you. So please don't panic as ever. Thank you. I've got so many parents recommending alternative bus routes. I love that. I would love to be able to get the 141. But with 255 students, then that's when it becomes a wee bit of a problem. But obviously we can do staggered entry. But Miss O'Malley and I are confirming that. And as I've noted, we'll get that confirmed meeting point detail out to you the week commencing the 16th of June. Okay. Once again, what I have included is like the cost and any queries with regards to the cost. Thank you. I'm getting all these amazing Do you guys all work for TFL? I love this. Okay. Yeah, Miss O'Malley's also said if you do have any students who are concerned about trying to get to a different location of their own accord, Miss O'Malley and we will be here to like accompany them and take them to that point. Okay. Because we want them to have fun. We don't want them to worry about getting to a point at a certain time because, as I said, it's quite a big milestone, I think, because this is the end of year trip, last trip that they're going to have whilst being from year 7 to year 11. Okay. The wonderful thing is for our young people, there is they don't need to wear school uniform. Now, I know that may be a headache for you parent and carers because you may start to get a request for, but I need these new trainers, right? All I want to say to you is get them to do chores to earn that new thing for the school trip. Okay. So yeah, no school uniform. And it always scares me because they all look so much older than a year 10 student. But I know that they will absolutely love that. Okay. Moving on, I like to just include any key dates that we have coming up. Okay. So, thank you once again for sending in all your questions. Really, really valuable questions. Sometimes, I can't see the wood for the trees in light of what information to deliver. So please just keep them coming through. So the official, our start date for the mocks is Monday the 9th of June. Although I know some of the more creative subjects have actually started as of today. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Miss O'Malley, again. The deadline is on the letter. I did have a hard copy of it close by, but I don't have it immediately now. Yeah, we will send the letter again just for that. Once again, communication. Call it over communication. I would rather feel secure that you know the full details. So going back to key dates, one of the things I like to include is just the fun things that we do as a school community, where on Thursday the 19th of June, there's going to be a music concert in the theatre, and I think that's raising funds for the school or maybe a particular year group off the top of my head. I can't immediately recall. Friday the 20th of June, we have a Windrush celebration in school. So details of that will also, finite details will be sent out. So coming up to July, additional things whereby there is a music residential trip. So if your child, your young adult does music, then they may have been asked if they wanted to go on the trip. I don't have enough details on that, but once that's all confirmed, that will be sent out to you as well. Always an interesting thing that I like to see is the fact that on Friday the 11th of July, the girls are going to have their interform, their football interform in school. And we do it during period 5. The head of PE, she's listened to all the feedback, and some of the girls would maybe feel uncomfortable if it was during lunch with everyone watching. So it's period 5 on Friday, the 11th of July, and it's year 9 and year 10 girls interform. And it was so successful last year, and it was so lovely. So just encourage, if you have a daughter and she's into football, get her involved. Okay. So as I mentioned before, Wednesday the 16th of July, end of your trip to Southend. And then what that means is Thursday the 17th of July, it's our last ever year 10 sports day. They don't do it in year 11. And so I am really, really, I know I'll lose my voice because I like to go around and encourage everyone and shout and scream like an absolute plonker. However, it gets the spirit up. So yeah, that's Thursday the 17th of July, usual place for a sports day, and that's at Finsbury Park. And then Friday the 18th of July, last day of term, and the last day is a year 10. Can you believe it? I've had a very emotional day today, and reading things like this just makes me think, no, I really, really don't want them to stop growing up too fast. Okay. However, we all know that too well. So yeah, so Friday the 18th of July. Okay, moving swiftly on. Frequently asked questions. Okay, so it may be quite a small print, but if everyone's okay, I can read through. The trip is too expensive. Is there any support for this? Absolutely. There are things in place. What I need you to do as your parents and carers is to contact the form tutor to give them the details. Some parents have been contacting me already, but make sure you contact form tutor as well, because we're collating all of that information. Okay. If my child doesn't go on the trip, are they expected to be in school? any students not going on an end of year trip, be them in year 7 to year 10, there will be something in place in school. If they're staying at home, it actually would probably go down as like an absence. But please, yeah, I mean, I want everyone where possible to try and go on the trip. We do have a few that are not able to go on the trip, but it is the last trip. So if you can, just please, 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 just kind of encourage your young people to do that. Okay. My child doesn't have a scientific calculator for the exams. Can they borrow one from school? Now, I know we don't have a huge amount. However, certain departments, obviously primarily maths, they have some that they can borrow, that students can borrow, okay? Where possible, and I know they are expensive, if they can have their own calculator, then that helps, because I think every scientific calculator can vary slightly, and so if they've got one that they're used to, they won't have that panic when they're in their exam and have to use it and are not quite sure. So I know they're expensive, but I just want to encourage for them all to have all their equipment, because it's one less worry and pressure as they're going into the mocks. Okay. I haven't been extensive with my frequently asked questions. However, I am grateful that everyone has joined. I did have a thumbs up, but it's not now playing. If you have any more questions, we have about 4 minutes, just under 5 minutes. If you would like to pop them in the chat, Miss O'Malley and I can stay online and answer any questions. Once again, I would encourage you just to reach out to form tutors, or if it's something more specific, your child's teacher and such like, even myself, and I'll do my best to answer. So please, yeah, thank you everyone. I think just in time for the weather to change, good old British summertime. So yeah, take care, and yes, we will be in touch soon.